Hi guys, it's Elisa at Mer Cottage Homesteading. Today's video is meant to be about my 2020 goals for the homestead, but to be honest, I've been finding it really difficult to find at least 5 goals for my 2020 homestead. This video contains adult themes and passionate language. Watch at your own discretion. It really has been hard trying to focus on planning for the future when we're in this situation of crisis where the country is on fire. All the forests are pretty much, most of the forests, not all of them, are on fire. We're losing animals and wildlife and trees and ecosystems and houses and people. It's just devastating, and it's really affecting so many people, even the ones that aren't in the fire at this point. I'm just watching wildlife dying out there. It's just awful. God, we're in survival mode. I live in Australia, which is the driest continent on the planet, and the majority of Australia is actually desert, and there is a green mountain range which runs up the east coast, and the majority of the people live in those green spots. And that's why our population is so low, because not many people living in the desert. We have had drought really badly for years now, and I reckon in the last 20 years where I live, we've only had 3 years with average rainfall, and the rest have been below average rainfall. And out of those 3 years where we got average rainfall, one of those we got the majority of the rain on a 24-hour period, which meant we had floods, and our town was then a state of emergency because we had flooding. But the rest of the time, we've just been in drought, and it's basically been survival mode, and it's just getting worse and worse. Anyway, as you know, we've been having insane heat waves through November, December, and now we're in January, and we're still getting them, obviously. Our hot weather doesn't come until February, so it's just been ridiculous. And also January was just the most insane hot January that we've ever had on record as well. If you've been following any media or news, you may have heard that we've got fires in Australia as well. And I don't know what I've said already. I'm getting all mixed up because there's just so much to say, and I feel pretty shit about the whole thing, to be honest. We've been getting these heat waves that are just so insane and not even at the right time of year for when they normally come. And it's just been really difficult because you have to plan around the heat waves, especially when you don't have air conditioning and the house gets up to 40 degrees Celsius, which I think is about 116 Fahrenheit, I think. You might have to check that. But it's just, yeah, like we lost Shadow, one of our Australorps, on a 44-degree day. She laid an egg, jumped down to walk out of the area where they lay eggs, and she just collapsed and died. And there was no warning. I'm just absolutely devastated about that. It's you know, tough all around. Where we are, look, there are no fires around us at the moment. We are completely safe at this point, but it just takes one idiot to light a fire or throw a cigarette out a window or a bit of lightning, and we're going to be in the same situation because the countryside is just dry. There's kindling under the trees because we're not allowed to pick up firewood from under the trees on the roadsides. They banned that years ago, so that's there for the wildlife. But the problem with that, in my opinion, is that, I mean, that's all good in theory, but yeah, when the bushfires come through and they've got all that kindling and then they catch the trees on fire, it's fantastic. Then the animals die anyway, so I don't know, we need to have better management. Something needs to change. But I don't want to make this a political video, so we'll move on. I do have family that's currently involved in the fires in Victoria, and they've got fires 3 sides of their property at the moment, and luckily they have a bunker, so that's where they'll be heading. But there are people who are stranded in areas and they've run out of food, or they're being told to evacuate and there's no electricity, so they can't get fuel, and there's queues for miles of people trying to get petrol or waiting for the power to go on so they can get petrol, because you can't flee when there's no fuel in your car. People who don't have electricity or internet and they're completely cut off and they don't have food and the roads are closed down, so they're trapped. So learning from their mistakes, I guess, is a good way to say, hey, you know, this can happen to anybody. Let's get some food in our property so if we do stay or we get stranded, stuck, we've got food and water so that at least we can eat. It is a stressful time, even for us who aren't affected by the fires. And when I say unaffected, we don't have fires bearing down on us at the moment. I don't think there's any Australians who are not affected. Maybe if you've got air conditioning and you live in the city, maybe. I don't know. But for us in the country, I think most people are affected. We have smoky days where you don't see the sun and it's just grey and dull, but it's stinking hot and repressive, like just heavy heat. And you can't cool the house down at night if there's smoke because you don't want the smoke coming in the house. And the smoke has been so bad that we've been wearing our P2 face masks so we can breathe clean air if we're outside. It is really hard knowing that family and friends are losing homes and are trapped, and fellow Australians are having such a hard time. And the volunteers are just working and working and working. I don't want this to be a doom and gloom video because we are safe where we are, really. And, you know, a few smoky days, that's nothing compared to what a lot of the other Australians are dealing with at the moment. So, you know, I don't want to make out that like we're victims here or anything like that because that's just not the case. But it is hard watching the birds dropping out of the sky because they're dehydrated or drowning in the pools because they're just trying to get any water they can. And I have a fair bit of water laying around because I do have the ducks, and I have the little bee water which the little birds can come in, and the crows and the magpies and everything. But that empties out pretty quick because it just evaporates, and we're not really meant to be filling things up like that, but I do have tank water still, so that's why I'm doing it. With these ongoing heat waves that we keep getting, we're really in survival mode. So when we have a few cool days, we get things done, and then we can't do much, and when we can't do much, that's just keeping things alive, or trying to at least, and we're not succeeding as well as we'd like to be honest. We've lost plants, we've lost animals, and yeah, and we're still under the threat of a possibility of a fire because the summer is really just starting. I'm going to continue doing what we're doing on the homestead, from composting to worm farms to chickens and ducks, as well as growing and harvesting and preserving our own food, using the herbs for medicine and making things out of the flowers and herbs that we grow as well. So my 2020 homesteading goals is to continue doing what I'm doing, keep getting more prepared, growing the garden and having the chickens and the ducks. Although I do want to reduce my duck numbers because it's not great having too many ducks in the summer, and there's just nothing for them to eat, and with no water coming in like rain to fill the tanks up, we're going to run out quite quickly with their pools. So I need to reduce the number of ducks I have. And if it was cooler, I'd be able to process some ducks, but it's just too hot, so we can't even process some of the ones we've got. I want to increase my Australorp numbers because now we're down to 1, and it was my goal last year as well and the year before to increase my numbers, and we just haven't had any luck with the Australorp raising. It's unbelievable. I always did so well at raising chickens, and yeah, since I've been filming it, it's been a big disaster, to be honest. But anyway, that's my goal, is to increase my Australorp numbers. I grow annual and perennial food crops, but I want to increase my perennial food crops. And I have a couple of garden beds where I can squeeze more perennials in. So I'm going to research into the other perennials that I don't know about perhaps. I'm sure there's plenty out there that I don't know about. And increase the ones that I do grow already because they use less water than the annuals. And in a drought situation where you just don't get rain for months on end, and there's no sign of rain ahead, then we have to sort of work with what we've got, and that's why I'm going to research into the perennials more. Even if I have to grow prickly pear, because you can eat that, and that grows pretty well in the drought, so who knows. I do have some of that, but I haven't put it in the garden because that's a bit nasty, really. But I mean, if that's all we can grow, that's the way it's going, there's going to be something I can grow anyway. So another goal is to research beekeeping. And I've already started doing that, and it's probably not a good option for me because I am allergic to bees, but that aside, we can't have stingless bees where we live because it's too cold. And I think that it's too hot in the summer to have beehives here. I don't really have a good location for them to be apart from under the tree. And there's not much room left under the tree because all the ducks and chickens, and if we have any babies, they're under the tree and we're under the tree. And the tree is also next to the road, a dirt road. So yeah, probably not a good option. I'm going to continue to get more prepared. It's, I think, an ongoing journey, that one, because you can just keep getting more and more prepared in different ways. And that is something that is really important to me. Especially when I'm watching people who are stranded in their homes in towns where the town is cut off and they can't get access to food or water or fuel, and other people are being told to evacuate and they can't evacuate because they've got no fuel to go anywhere and there's no power, so they can't fill up with fuel. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. So I hope more people start to think about being more prepared at home. And my last goal is more about myself and looking after myself and my health and taking time out to relax and to read. I love to read, and I do find it very difficult with my illness to sit and read, but I really miss it, and I think that's something I'd really like to be doing. And that means my homestead will run better if I'm healthier and stronger. I'd love to be able to get out there and go hunting and fishing, but my health's just not up to it. So if I do get healthier, I might be able to get out and have a shot and get a bit of fishing as well and fill the freezer, or if I'm lucky enough to catch anything. Anyway, this is just my opinion and my viewpoint. I'm based on my experiences, and I'm sure there's plenty of other people with other opinions and other experiences based on where they live and what they're going through. And this is just my opinion. If you're in Australia and you're struggling with the drought and the fires or the smoke, I'm sending my love and best wishes to you guys right now. And I hope you all stay safe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.